Hey, growing up crazy. Bonus two, as far as the place that we could all stand that makes everything okay. And this is just a follow up to the follow up for a further question. Because somebody wanted to know, like, well, what about pain and suffering? And there was something, ever since I was a kid and really got into meditation, I had the exact same questions that we all do, like when we're children. You know, why is there pain? Why is there suffering? Why is there hurting in the world? And I would meditate and I would go to that place where I felt very close to spirit, and I would try every single time to bring these questions with me, to sort of like ask these questions, to sort of present them to what I call my invisible friend. And it wasn't that I would forget the question whenever I would meditate and travel to those places. It was that the question ceased to be important. And I remember it was funny when I was a child. There was a number of times that I was like, okay, this time I'm really going to ask, because I would experience something myself that really caused me great pain, or I would see great pain reflected in the lives of others. And I was like, you know what? I really want to get an answer to this. And I was really determined to get an answer to it. And I'll say, this is just a follow-up to the bonus material. It really is an act of maturity. We do mature to the place where it is okay, where we stop approaching it like as a child, wanting somebody else to make it all okay for us. And that's a completely natural reaction. When we're children, we lack the agency. But the whole purpose of life is having that agency. But there was something that I left out in that original recording, and that was the self-love that should be intrinsic to all of us and that we are all born with. And how I said that everything is a fractal, expanding infinitely large and infinitely small at the same time, repeating itself endlessly in all directions. This fractal also bears with it an immersive sense of self-love, and we all experience that self-love with ourselves, that the universe loves us through our own self-love. And that self-love moves through us, and it's almost an act of our breathing. It's deeply tied to our breathing. So we are connected to the universe at large through self-love. And I forgot to mention that with my original recording, because that's always come naturally to me, because, well, what else do we have and who else is there? You know, I'm sort of all I got and always have been. So it's to me, it's as natural as breathing. But I did have the thought later on that I should have put that in there for somebody that might not experience that. And looking around in the world, I do realize that many people do not experience this, because a lot of the problems that I see in the world can actually be traced directly back to a lack of self-love. And I mean a deep self-love, not a self-regard, not an ego, not need fulfillment, where you just are masturbatory in the different aspects of your life. I mean like a true and genuine self-love that comes from below your navel and radiates outward. And that is the point that we are born through and that we die into and that we breathe through, if we allow ourselves to breathe that deeply. And that is a self-love that connects us to all things in the universe at large. Because the universe at large is self-love. It runs on self-love, and it's an overwhelming and pervading sense of all things. And self-love and free will are pretty much what this whole operation runs on. The free will is what allows for everything, including pain. And because you can't have an exclusive universe that runs on free will, you just wouldn't have. You either have a universe that is ordered and directly controlled, and we would all be automatons, or we're going to have free will in which we can hurt each other, and we often do. And we often do because of a lacking of that self-love that permeates the universe, because that's how we experience the divine. First and foremost is through a love of yourself. If you do not love yourself, you are limiting how much of the divine you can experience. And that's where it begins. I know in the previous podcast I said it begins with personal responsibility and autonomy. But those things have to grow out of the self-love, or else you'll just be another kind of asshole. So I wanted to make this part two because I skipped over it, because like I said, it's always come very naturally to me. I've been accused more than once of having a highly inflated self-regard, usually by my significant others. But really, what it is because it's what I have. It's what I feel connects me to the rest of the universe. And honestly, my sense of self-love is what humbles me. Or else I would be another self-important asshole running around out there. Or at least more of a self-important asshole than I already am. All right, cheers. Bonus material, part 2. Self-love, it all begins there. And then out of that self-love, we have our maturity. And through that maturity is where we get the agency and the autonomy and the sense of personal responsibility. where we can pursue both the upstream and the downstream with that agency, autonomy, and personal responsibility, with the end result hopefully being that both our upstream and downstream balance each other out to create a whole being that operates fully and functionally in the now moment for the interest of ourselves and all of creation. Aho. Cheers.